your side and also my side.
Okay, sorry, that means I'm sharing the screen. All right, no problem. Okay, I'm going to do that. Right, let me just, right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the very last lecture, Information Technology 5A. And we are so happy that we have Mr. Ayanda Mbatha to join us. He's my guest presenter for this evening. Just to let you know that I listened to him talk a couple of weeks ago, and I was so taken in with what he had to say that I definitely wanted to invite him to come and talk to my students. He has a lovely story to tell. Mr. Mbatha, welcome on behalf of the Information Systems Department and behalf of my students. The floor is yours. I'm not sure if you like them to interact with you during your presentation, or whether you want them to ask questions at the end of it all, Mr. Mbatha. What do you prefer?
Let them ask me questions in the end, because I'm going to try and keep my story short. Then they can ask questions, because I'm going to do my story and then do my competition, and then they can start asking questions. So that
competition. Oh, I heard the word competition. What is that, Mr. Mbatha?
Definitely, I'm going to take them through onto the competition that I normally run for all the graduates, people who are looking for work, what they can do, and also what they can do with what I did, but on a virtual platform now, doing things smarter.
Oh, I'm really happy to hear that, because some of my students are unemployed, and this is partly my reason for me introducing you to them. All right, Mr. Mbatha, can I also take part in the competition?
No, unfortunately, you can't. You're already a lecturer, so you're employed.
No. I'm just joking. Right? It's for my students. Mr. Mbatha, I thank you for your time, and you have about 25 to 30 minutes. The floor is all yours. I'll switch my screen off. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Hello to everybody. The name is Ayanda Moses Mbatha, and thank you so much, Dr. Kavenda, for this invitation. My name is Ayanda Moses Mbatha, and I'm a young mechanical engineering holder, and also I hold a BTech degree from the Vaal University of Technology, and I also hold a national diploma for mechanical engineering from the Tshwane University of Technology, and I'm currently doing my postgraduate in project management at University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. So thank you guys for just making an opportunity to come and witness my story. So just to keep it short, I'm just going to do my story to how did I ever land up here, and also after that, I will then also just do what my competition is all about. So basically, my story has to begin with, I basically, back in 2020, I blew up. I was across all social media platforms, Facebook, WhatsApp, LinkedIn. I was on newspapers, News 24. I was on radio. I was on Bloomberg International, which was covered like for so many countries. Like I was all over, I was blowing up, but I want to explain to you guys how did I actually blow up. So I grew up from Newcastle, KwaZulu-Natal, which is a place in northern KZN. That's where I grew up with a family of 5, and my mother and my father, who was still alive by the time. If I can just share my screen so that you guys can see my family, you'll understand why I want to show you guys my family, because they are very much important to me. So basically, this is my family. I don't know if you guys can see my shared screen. So let me just share again. Just want you guys to see my family. So that you understand how the most important role they play in my life. So that's me. So the firstborn is this one. It's my oldest brother, Charles Mbatha. He's an IT guy. He's a project administrator and is also a fashion designer. He's number 1. And then the second oldest is my other brother, Stembiso Raymond Mbatha. He's a senior mechanical engineer at ArcelorMittal. And then the third oldest is my brother, Hlanganisa Hector Mbatha. He's a PR specialist, public relations specialist, working for the Department of Justice. And then that's me, number 4. And then that's my lovely sister. She's an internal auditor working in one of our sister companies where I work at Psychometric South Africa. And then that's the queen of the home, my place, my heart. That's my mom, Tudisile Mbatha. So just to take you guys back, so this is the picture of, this is how I ended up with all the training that I had as I was coming up in my career as an engineer. This is where I ended up because of Section 189. I will explain how I ended up there, guys. So if I can just take it back to my screen, let me stop sharing. So basically, as I said, I grew up in Newcastle. And as I grew up in Newcastle with my family, I first started in a school called Nokanya Primary School, which was a township school. And then in that school, my father was still alive. I was very much privileged. I don't want to lie to you. My mother has never had a 9-to-5 job, like formal employment. But my father was working. He was a senior manager at a refrigeration company. We were very much privileged. I don't want to lie to you. We were getting things that we wished for. But how we were getting those things is we were always making things with my dad. Every time for a specific term, my dad would say, get an A for math or get an A for science, those type of subjects, or when we were younger, for natural science, those type of subjects, just get all those A, B, and C's so that you can actually get the present that you want for that specific year. So he was making sure that you were working hard for what you actually want so that you can actually get it. So despite of how privileged we were, so we were actually working for everything that we had actually earned by the time. So as we were growing up, obviously from my side, I was one of the smartest. So I was getting a lot of things, and my other brother. So up until then, grade 4, 2004, then before the end of the year, my father said, I should choose a town school, any town school that I can choose. I was so excited. I was like, wow, finally I get an opportunity to go to a town school where so many opportunities are there. So I moved from a township school. I went to a school called Water School Mayuba. I went there. It was an African school. By the time, it was the first time they accepted people of people who are Black, who are English, who are African. It was for the first time, and we were in grade 5. Like, that school started from creche up until matric, and we were the only class. Like, I think we were like 35 in the class. We were the only ones because they were trying it out, trying to see how is it now going to work with their school and stuff. I was excited. I didn't care about much. I only cared about, I'm in this new school. It's big, fancy, like so many things were just around. So, and I really much appreciated that privilege. And then I started there, 2005, then 2006, my sister actually joined me because she was coming behind me. She always wanted to follow me. So she also joined me on the same school. And then 2006, unfortunately, in November, towards the end of the year, I was doing my grade 6, and unfortunately, my father passed away. And that was basically the first pothole, if I may call it, that I just had to enjoy in my life, which meant that there was no longer that breadwinner who was doing everything for us. School fees was always paid. He was always making sure that we were eating and all that. So it meant that my mother, because she didn't have a 9-to-5 job, she obviously, as she grew up, she didn't have opportunities to go to school and all those things. She was more of an entrepreneur-minded person. So she was selling clothes, she was selling food. She was also into the taxi business where after my father passed away, she bought a Toyota Venture where it picked school kids from my school and my sister, just to make sure that from our school we could get the kids. So it was a school transport. Every week they were paying to us. That was one of the ways that was sustaining us by that time. And also another way that was sustaining us, it was also my uncle was just getting in there and there. So it meant that those high expensive fees for my school, we were scared that my mom was just going to say, my kids come back from those townships, town schools, come back to township schools because we can no longer afford, because the school fees by that time, I think it was 7,000 Rand. So it was very expensive a year. So my sister and I were like, yo, that means we must just make peace. We're going to go to township schools. After the whole funeral, my mom said, you're not going anywhere. You stay where you are. She's going to make a plan for us. We were shocked. We were like, how is mom going to achieve this? So we continued with school because that school gave us so many opportunities in terms of sports. I was playing sports with my sister, hockey was my sister. I was playing rugby, I was playing cricket, I was also playing soccer. I was also in the choir singing. We're doing extramural activities. I was also acting. So we're doing so many things at school, which kept us very much vibrant, which kept us, which also made us to extroverts that we were. So for me personally, I am an extrovert. I'm a person who's a people's person, but also the school contributed so much also with some of those extramural activities, which is very important to every child. I wish so many children can also get this. And then time went on, and then the school actually gave us an option to say that for people who would lose parents who were breadwinners, they would actually cut your school fees so that you can pay according to how much you can afford. So they cut our school fees. I think my mom, for me, was paying like, I think it was close to 1,500 Rand a year. Imagine from 7,000 Rand. That, I was like blown away. It was like, this school actually does this. So they had that financial assistance to people who were losing parents as time went on. So for me, it was 1.5, and then my sister was also 1.5. So combination of 3,000 Rand instead of 14,000 Rand for both of us, which it really helped a lot. So there were struggles that we had, but for me, with my family, the way we were so close, I cannot remember those experiences where it was tough, but because we were close, even when things were tough, we were just living as we took it. And then as time went on, I went into my high school already with the privilege of the school. I already knew what career that I wanted because every year there were career fairs. So it made you make sure that you know what you wanted in an early age, at an early stage, which gave us a big advantage. So from grade 8, I knew I wanted to be an engineer. So it was between mechanical and civil engineering. So by grade 10, I knew that grade 10, I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. Even my subject, it was a technical school. So you could mix anyhow. So even though most schools were just saying that if you take this subject, science, you must. So for us, you could mix however, depending on what career you want to take. So they were very much open to that. There were also counselors, which also helped us in so many ways. So I knew by grade 10, I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. By grade 11, I started applying for bursaries because I understood that for me to get the education that I would like in an institution, because my family wouldn't be able to afford for me to go to university. So I knew that I needed to start applying for bursaries. So I started in 2011, grade 11 bursaries. And then matric came. I only applied to 2 institutions, which was Wits University and also Tshwane University of Technology. And Tshwane University of Technology were the first ones to answer me while I was on my matric year to take me for my national diploma in mechanical engineering. So 2012, I did my matric, completed, I passed, got a bachelor's, and then I went over to university. So went to TUT, it was exciting. I unfortunately missed out when it came to Wits University because my APA score, well, by that time, I think I had 34 APA score. And I missed the mark for the correct APA score for mechanical engineering for BEng for Wits University. So that's how I couldn't make it. So, but I was also excited because it was between the 2 of my institutions. So 2013, did my first year up until the year 2014. Closer to the end of the year, I eventually, after applying for so many years, every year, I got a bursary from a company called World, which has brands like World Equipment, World Automotive, etc., and many more, which is there in Catherine and Western Sandton, the head offices. So I got a bursary. I was very much excited at finally because on my first year, my first 6 months, luckily, my father was so smart that before he died, he had left us different bank cards for ABSA. He left us money individually while we were still kids, that we need to reach an age of 18 and qualify for university and also be able to register for university. Then the money could be activated. Then my mom would, every year, once we get our statements, and then we know that we passed, and then she would give us our cards and say, this is what your father left you, go to university, register and do, and then see how long it can last you. So that money actually lasted me for 6 months for rent. So at least I was like, wow, I felt honored that I had a smart father who planned ahead for me while he was still alive. And then by June of 2013, then I got NSFAS to actually fund for my studies because my mother couldn't afford, no one was working at home. So that's how I got my NSFAS to actually fund me. Then 2014, close to the end of the year, when I got that bursary, Paolo said they will pay for everything of my studies, my raise. Like, I didn't have to worry about what am I going to eat tomorrow? What am I going to eat next week? Where am I going to sleep and all that? How am I going to pay rent? All those things. And also with the money that was coming in every month from NSFAS, which at times I felt like it was little, but it was something I was just appreciating with what I was getting. So, but with the bursary, they said everything, laptop, you name it. I didn't have to worry about food or anything else. I had to concentrate on my studies. So 2015, doing my S4, got so many distinctions because now I didn't have to stress about food, and all those nitty-gritties, how my school fees is going to be paid, because now